Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. How's Eddie Frederick?
So glad you can join us. Prisons officers in Antigua Barbuda reluctant to take the vaccine. This story takes the lead in our 1078th edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday 29th March 2021. Details after this break.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the food fair from anywhere in the world and you can receive here in Grenada? The food fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
Welcome back. Dozens of prisons officers have not availed themselves of the opportunity to receive the COVID-19 vaccination in Antigua and Barbuda. That's according to the acting prison superintendent, Jermaine Anthony, as the prison's inoculation program continues. ABS's Sherilyn Beezer has been closely tracking this story.
Anthony says all officers had the opportunity to be vaccinated prior to Thursday.
On March 5th, 2021, out of a total complement of 101 staff to include 95 officers and 6 civilian staff, 26 officers were vaccinated.
The acting superintendent says the opportunity was provided again on 8th March.
Out of a complement of 244, 65 inmates were vaccinated, and on that same day, we would have had a total of 20 corrections officers being vaccinated, leaving some 49 officers outstanding to be vaccinated.
He says due notice was given to the officers of Thursday's vaccination program, during which there would be enough vaccines to cover all outstanding officers and inmates.
And we would have had, out of 49 officers outstanding to be vaccinated, a total of 6 officers were vaccinated today, leaving 43 officers outstanding to be vaccinated.
This, the acting superintendent says, was extremely disappointing.
Considering that one of the points of contention for the officers when they would have had their industrial action just recently was that vaccination was not available to them, but that was far from the truth.
Anthony says he's at a loss as to what the officers would expect the prison administration to do with regard to providing vaccines to them, since every effort has been made. He says the prison administration will be having discussions with Ministry of Public Safety officials to discuss the way forward. The acting superintendent has this advice for the officers.
I would just advise them to be wise and to think about the risk that they're taking by not having themselves vaccinated, and not only the risk they're taking with themselves, but also the risk with the lives of their loved ones and members of the public.
Meanwhile, only 3 inmates were inoculated out of a total of 179 outstanding to be vaccinated. The other 176 remaining said they don't want the vaccine. Sherilyn Beezer reporting for ABS News.
Trinidad and Tobago's business community is among the many calling for the relaxation of the public health regulations. As they say, Trinidad and Tobago is facing an economic crisis. But members of the Medical Association, although empathetic, says Trinidad and Tobago is not ready for relaxation of the health ordinance. More in this TV6 News item with Candy Hill.
I think we're still not at a place where those who are not following, will not cause a sharp rise and put a stress on our public health system. And that, I believe, is the difficulty that we have faced. But I equally agree that it's been a year. It's time for us to reopen the economy. I guess the difficulty here is the fact that mass vaccination is not near on the horizon. I mean, it's pleasing to note that we're going to get 140,000 vaccines, and the fact that we could probably get a little closer to rolling out the vaccination and the vaccination drive. I feel that if we could get that earlier, it would be best for that catch-22 situation. Unfortunately, we don't have control over that at this point.
It's something that will see our borders opening and this country getting back to some sense of normalcy. But as Dr. Kijan Bagan explains, a robust vaccination process will come at a huge cost.
Even if you look at the economics of the AstraZeneca vaccine, because the company themselves had subsidized their costing, you're looking at around $3 per vaccine. So that might be like a $6 million US investment to get 1 million of the population. If you look at the more expensive vaccines, we're looking at like say the Pfizer and Moderna, you're looking at 8 to 16 million US dollars in terms of what you have to invest to achieve herd immunity.
Until that time, Dr. Vishy Bihari is calling on citizens to remain vigilant until 80 or more % of the population has been vaccinated.
We must not let our guard down. Letting our guard down at this stage is not going to be beneficial to us. So while there is a rise and it is a cause for concern, we believe at the association, we believe that strongly that we must continue to remind the population, remind our patients that continuing the public health measures, the mask wearing, the sanitizing, those type of things is what is going to save us from a further rise in the amount of cases. And I'm pretty sure, anecdotally, I'm pretty sure that the rise has to do with the fact that some people would have let down their guard.
The doctors are also urging persons indifferent to taking the jab that the vaccination process is nothing to be afraid of.
The vaccine sort of is that thing that everyone is looking towards as a way to get back to a new norm. Because if we get close to that herd immunity, or if we start vaccinating, then they could open the borders. I mean, I'm not saying that we will stop wearing masks, but then we might become easier to get to work and stay in work. Or if most of your workforce, let's say on a particular building or a particular floor or something like that, already vaccinated, then you're not going to have a likelihood of having to shut down because that portion of your workforce can't get sick, right? So all of these benefits are going to happen is for all of us, and I don't see a reason that we should be afraid of it.
Candy Hill, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Another motion of no confidence by the opposition is being debated in Trinidad and Tobago's lower house, this time around its Finance Minister column Imbert. Urvashita Rari Rupnarayan of TV6 News reports.
Booch West MP Devendranath Tanku piloted a motion of no confidence in Finance Minister Colm Imbert in the lower house this afternoon. This follows similar motions filed against Health Minister Terence Dayal Singh and Energy Minister Franklin Khan.
Importantly, it is from the Minister of Finance that funds are expended to every ministry, state board, statutory body and service commission in Trinidad and Tobago. But we all know, Madam Speaker, that there's a difference between allocation and disbursements, as members opposite also are aware. Because ministers may come to the Parliament and make the grandest of promises and commitments on behalf of the government and on their own portfolios. But it is the Minister of Finance that controls the purse strings.
The MP charges the health of the economy depends mainly on the Finance Minister.
Mr. Speaker, in total, this minister's portfolio gives him oversight of some 54 financial entities, in addition to his role and responsibility of approving policy for every single ministry of the government of Trinidad and Tobago.
And according to the NP, the economy's health has dwindled since the People's Partnership government demitted office. He uses GDP as a gauge, saying it was $164 billion in 2015.
In came the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Minister of Finance, with us today. Within the first year, Madam Speaker, GDP dropped by $10 billion to $154.9 billion. 2017, it dropped again to $151.7 billion. 2018, it dropped again to $150 billion. 2019, it dropped again to $148.6 billion. And that, Madam Speaker, had nothing to do with COVID.
Mr. Tanku calls it an indictment on Minister Imbert's performance and proof the economy collapsed before COVID. But as far as the minister himself is concerned, Colm Imbert says the UNC is peddling a host of untruths.
When we demitted office in 2010, Madam Speaker, the money in the government's account at the central bank was in credit, Madam Speaker, in May of 2010, in the amount of $6 billion. When we came back into office in 2015, the other government had spent every cent of that $6 billion in credit and had run up the government's overdraft to almost $9 billion. Hence the fact that when we came in 2015, there was 3 days money left in the treasury. 3 days, madam.
A seemingly unbothered Minister Imbert says government raised $500 million in 2 hours, and his government is responsible for the level of confidence international investors have in the TNT economy.
You see, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and we continue to get unsolicited offers from international banks to provide financing for the government of Trinidad and Tobago because our reputation in the international world remains intact and remains high, Madam Speaker. So I really don't know what to say about this motion.
Rashid Tawari, Rupnarayan, TV6 News.
Now, based on 2 theories in litigation, the literal rule and the mischief rule, attorney-at-law Kevin Best tells the clerk of the National Assembly, Sherlock Isaacs, that someone from the Public Accounts Governing Side Committee could be elected as chairperson. Still, a member of the main opposition must hold a permanent position. HGP's Wendell Badri reports.
Every entity wishes to know how their finances are being expended. The Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly holds this responsibility on behalf of the citizenry as it meets during the life of each parliament to scrutinize how the government of the day has spent taxpayers' money and on what. The works of this committee has been stalled recently, however, as moves to have David Pattison removed as the chairman of the committee continues to be shrouded in controversy. It is widely speculated that the controversy may soon end, as a document seen by this newscast on Wednesday evening revealed that advice was tendered to the Clerk of the National Assembly, Sherlock Isaacs, who sought guidance on the matter for greater clarity. The argument stems from Standing Orders 82.2 and 95.4 of the National Assembly. Article 82.2 clearly states that, and I quote, "The chairman of the committee must be a member of the main opposition," while 95.4 dictates that, and I quote again, "If the chairperson is unable to be present at any meeting, the committee shall elect another chairperson whose tenure of office shall be for the day of his or her election," end quote. As David Pattison has recused himself as chairman of the committee to allow for a motion against him to be debated unabated, all other members of the main opposition have refused to take up the chairmanship position. This, they say, is their means of showing support to the honourable member. Attorney-at-law Kevin Best, in his written advice tendered to the Speaker, expressed the view that the governing side of the House may elect a chairman from its side of the House if the opposition members continue to refuse to do so, but that this move would only be temporary since the chairman of the committee must be selected from among the main opposition. Either which way this goes, the chances appear to be slim for David Pattison to remain as the chairman of the PAC. In a separate advice tendered to the committee at its 6th meeting, Isaacs informed that the members of the governing side of the committee could move a motion before the National Assembly to have Pattison removed as the chairman, and that decision would be final. The move to remove Pattison as chairman of the PSC follows several allegations of corruption against him. In February 2021, Minister of Public Works Juan Edgell released several documents and receipts showing gifts received by Pattison from agencies under his purview while he served as Minister of Public Infrastructure. Pattison has since denied all the allegations levied against him. Wendell Badri, HGP Nightly News.
Calling all vehicle owners. Inspection and licensing continues. And at Hubbard's, we want you to be ready. From February 16th to March 31st. Registration numbers 2,501 to 5,000 with single registration letter. Or registration numbers 251 to 500 with plural registration letters will receive 11% off new torque tires and PowerMax batteries. Don't get caught unprepared. Visit us today at the Motor Department in Mount Gay or the Tire Bay in Grand Anse near to the building supplies.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.